So I've been living in Poland for over 2 years now, and Poland, and especially Warsaw, if you ask me, can be a very nice place to live. But there are certain things that you absolutely need to know in order to decide if Poland is the right place for you. So in this vlog, I will tell you everything you need to know before coming to Poland. I will be talking about education, jobs, salaries.
So the worst thing about living in Poland, and something that you should definitely know if you're considering to move here, how does it work when it comes to finding a job when you are a foreigner? The most dangerous place in Poland, I guess, is...
So this video will definitely help you to prepare for your move or help you to decide if Poland is the right place for you.
I am originally from Poland. I was born here, but I've spent a big part of my life, well, majority of my life, well, I spent 15 years living abroad, mainly in Denmark, but also China, France, and Thailand. I feel like this allowed me to have this like a little different perspective of what life in Poland is like, because I can compare it with life in so many other countries. Yo guys, what is up? I hope you're all doing great. As soon as I said that, it started raining. Are you freaking kidding? Okay, now it's like literally actually raining. Like, I swear to God, it literally freaking poured for like 10 minutes and now it's sunny again. And now I'm kind of starving. So I will go to get myself some breakfast first, and then I will make a second attempt to film this video. It is sunny over here, but if you look over there, that's danger. I'm not getting wet again. I'm gonna go to Być Może. It's this new, or I don't know how new it is, but a very nice place. I'm gonna show you. Oh, their bread selection is so good. Just look at this. What do I choose? My book is the #1 new release. But wait, what's the category? Children's Explore Asia books. That is not good. So unfortunately, vlogging yesterday didn't really work out for me because I had some issues with my book that I had to fix. I noticed that my book was in children's category on Amazon, and it's quite problematic because it's certainly not a book for children. So I had to take care of that. Anyway, for now, let's get back to Poland. First thing that I want to say might be a little bold, but I honestly do believe that. I think that living in Poland is better than many people might think it is. I do think that Poland is one of these countries that is often quite like underestimated, or people have a very different idea of what Poland actually is. Obviously there is a good reason for that. Poland is also one of these countries that just like changed a lot and just developed a lot during the last couple of years. So if you are someone who visited Poland like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, okay, that's a long time, but I would say even 10 years ago when I grew up, I think Poland was very different to what it is today. And I honestly feel like living here, especially living in big cities, is much better than many people would maybe think it is. Look around me, so green, right? And we're still in the center of Warsaw. This is like the very center of Warsaw, and it's so green here. And that's the thing about Poland in general, like even big cities are really green. I think Polish cities are very like livable for people, you know what I mean? Poland is a relatively very safe country, and I say relatively because, you know, like what's safe and what's not safe, it's kind of a difficult topic. The most dangerous city in Poland would probably be Warsaw, which is where we are right now. The reason why Warsaw is the most dangerous city is simply because it's the biggest city in Poland, it's the capital. And I say dangerous because Warsaw is really not dangerous. It's a very safe city, I would say. I feel very safe and comfortable here. I would say that Warsaw is definitely much safer than any city in the US, and probably much safer than majority of Western European cities. I'm probably gonna refer to US a lot in this video because I know that a lot of people that tend to watch these videos about Poland are from the US, and I assume a lot of you guys, or I see from the comment section, that there are also quite a lot of people who are second generation Polish people born in the US, and they're often interested in this type of videos. Right behind me is the Castle Square. This is the center of the Old Town in Warsaw. I am attempting to make it to this pretty building right there because I always look at this building and it's so pretty, but I never go there. Not that there's anything to do there, I think, but let's see. In Poland, we do pay taxes. I mean, do pay taxes. Obviously, we pay taxes, but the taxes here are kind of like, you know, European standard taxes. They're much higher than what you pay in the US, for example. And because of that, we have public healthcare, we have public education, schools are free. Of course, we have private schools in Poland as well, and often the private schools are considered better, but it's definitely not like in some countries where if you want your kid to go to a good school, then you need to put them in a private school. This is not the way it is here in Poland. Higher education is free, meaning university is free in Poland. When I said that in one of my videos, some people corrected me that it's not free because we pay taxes for it. And yes, I completely agree with you. It's not free in that way because we all pay taxes for it. Of course, nothing falls from heaven, but you know, when you want to do a university degree in Poland, you don't pay because it's paid by taxpayers. So as you can see, we made it to this pretty building that I was trying to make it to. It is very pretty. So this is the inside of the castle square of the castle. So you obviously do need a ticket to see it, so that's not something we're gonna do right now, but good time seeing the inside. And also something that I keep thinking is that this church is massive. One thing that you obviously must know about Poland is that we do have a lot of churches here. So majority of Poland's population is Catholic, so there are a lot of churches. It is unfortunately a little gloomy today, which is a bummer because I really hope to film this video when it's sunny outside. Unfortunately, as much as I love Warsaw, Warsaw is a very gray city. Maybe not here, like right now we're in the Old Town and like as you can see the buildings are very colorful here, but in general in the rest of the city like there is a lot of gray. So when the weather is bad, which is unfortunately quite, I mean the weather is bad a lot here, so the city just looks very gray. So the place where we are right now, it's called Market Square. I come here sometimes too for dinner. It's really nice, especially in the evening. I mean, as you can see, it's super beautiful. So it's a nice place to sit and have dinner. Something that I think is like one of the best things about living in Poland is the fact that the country has a very long and rich culture and history. And obviously that makes it really interesting to live in a place like that. There are a lot of nice places in Poland where you can travel, both like interesting cities, but also like nature-wise. We have mountains, we have lakes, sea. So I thought I will mention that. But anyways, okay, let's move on to the more negative sides of living in Poland, I guess, that you should definitely know. So the worst thing about living in Poland, and something that you should definitely know if you're considering to move here, is the fact that wages, salaries are still relatively low here, much lower than in other Western countries, much lower than in Western Europe or in the US, obviously. That's of course really annoying and upsetting, and I really hope that this is something that will change in Poland. It is slowly changing, but I mean slowly. And what's kind of happening here right now is also that inequalities in societies become bigger and bigger. The thing is that some people in Poland, especially in big cities, are already starting to earn wages that are very similar to Western countries, or the same as in Western countries. But then there are still some people who earn salaries that are much lower, and that creates a lot of inequality in the society. Another thing to mention is that this is like one of my favorite buildings in Warsaw. How pretty is it, right? In general, this street is just really pretty. Another thing that you might be interested in is how does it work when it comes to finding a job when you are a foreigner, especially if you don't speak Polish. So obviously I'm not gonna say that finding a job in Poland when you don't speak Polish is super easy, because well, Polish is is the official language here, and it is the language that we all use and speak. However, I do think that it is possible to find a job here, especially in big cities. I would say mostly in Warsaw, Gdańsk, Krakow. In the company where I used to work, there were quite a few people who didn't speak Polish at all, and since the language that we used on a daily basis was English, it was not an issue like at all. So it is definitely possible to find a job here if you don't speak Polish. Yes, that it might be a little bit more challenging in general, but in big cities, especially here in Warsaw, there are definitely a lot of international companies who use English as their, you know, first language. What is the attitude of Polish people towards foreigners? This is again a very, very deep topic. I would say in general, it's pretty good. I would say in general, Polish people are quite curious of foreigners, and they like always love to know what foreigners think about Poland. And I would say that in general, people are quite welcoming. However, I also do understand that I'm certainly not the best person to ask this question because, well, I am Polish, I speak Polish. I'm getting really tired, so I think I'm gonna head home. Whenever I walk around and vlog, I really get like extremely tired. I think it's because like vlogging really requires my brain to work at its like highest level. So I'm gonna head home now, and at home I'm gonna mention a couple of other things that I want to mention about finding an apartment in Poland, and like things that you should keep in mind. I feel like things you should keep in mind is like a sentence that I repeated at least like 100 times in this video. In general, I would say that it's surprisingly easy to find a place to live in Poland. Well, Warsaw, that's where I live. And the reason why I say very easy is because a lot of people who have, you know, lived in big cities like Paris, London, New York, right? Finding a place to live in places like that, it can be very difficult. In Copenhagen, even where I grew up, you don't choose a place. Of course, now I'm kind of talking from a perspective of a young person. Obviously, if you have the budget for, you know, I guess more expensive places, then that's a different story. Finding a place to rent in many cities can be difficult, but in Warsaw it's not really a case. When I moved to Warsaw, it was like the first time in my life where I was actually like choosing apartments in a way. Both in like Shanghai and Paris. Paris is like, oof, another story. Shanghai is not even that bad, but like Paris is really bad. In Paris you don't choose, you're happy if you get an apartment. That's the way it works in Paris. And living conditions are really bad as well. In Warsaw, it's not really the case. However, of course, that depends on your understanding of what good living conditions are. I would say that Warsaw, compared to other European cities, living conditions, meaning that the size and the standard of apartments is often quite good compared to many other big cities. In Warsaw, it is very much possible to be a 20-something-year-old who just, well, let's say graduated and live in a pretty nice-ish place. Where, for example, in Paris, if you're a 20-something-year-old who just graduated, you're gonna live in a place that is extremely small and probably has a very little ugly kitchen and very little ugly bathroom. You get the point. When I posted a video of my previous apartment tour, I did get some comments saying that my apartment was small, and I was surprised by these comments because for me it was not small. It was like 40 square meters and I was the only person living there. So yeah, it was not gigantic, but I would not need more, you know. For me, it was like good enough. It's actually like very good, to be honest. Like, I've lived in places that are much smaller. I obviously shared apartments with roommates. In Paris, I've lived in a place that was like probably 17 square meters. So for me, that was like, you know, luxury, 40 square meters only for myself. But I do understand that it really depends on where you come from. I know that in some places, like let's say in the States, people are used to having bigger spaces or whatever. So in general, in my opinion, living conditions in Poland are pretty good in that way. And also the apartments, like you can count on having a little bit more like nicer living standards than many other places. And also the reason for that is actually because Warsaw is quite a, like, the city is quite big, meaning it's like really spread out. So it's not, the buildings are not very tall, but there's just like a lot of space. Maybe that's a bad explanation. To be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if that's the reason. Anyways, that's a great thing about living in Warsaw. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any other questions, just let me know in the comments. I'll try to get back to you if I can. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hopefully see you soon. Bye.